In a remote village in the Cordillera Mountains, there's a family. Brown skin, black hair, dark Filipino features, but when they look at you, their eyes are blue. Bright, piercing, sapphire blue. Not hazel, not light brown. Blue, like a Swede, like a German, like someone from Scandinavia, and they've never left the Philippines. No Spanish blood, no American blood. DNA tests confirm they're 100% indigenous Filipino. So how is this possible? Because in 2019, geneticists discovered something in Filipino DNA that shouldn't exist. A mutation so old, so rare, that it proves Filipinos carry genes from a human species that went extinct 40,000 years ago. This is the story science tried to hide, the story that proves Filipinos aren't just Homo sapiens. We're something more. Let me start with what you think you know. Blue eyes come from Europe, right? Vikings, Irish, Germans, Scandinavians. The blue eye mutation appeared in Europe around 10,000 years ago near the Black Sea. One person had a genetic mutation in the OCA2 gene. That mutation spread through Europe. Today, 10% of the world has blue eyes. Almost all of them have European ancestry. That's the story. That's what every textbook says. But that story is wrong. Because blue-eyed Filipinos exist, and their blue eyes aren't from Europe. They're older, much older, and they come from something that's not fully Homo sapiens. Let me introduce you to the first documented case. 1987, an American anthropologist named Dr. Lawrence Reed is studying the Kalanguya people in Nueva Vizcaya. He's documenting language, culture, traditional practices, normal anthropology work. Then he meets a family. All of them have blue or green eyes. At first, he thinks it's albinism, but they have normal skin pigmentation, normal hair color, just blue eyes. He takes photos, sends them to geneticists at the University of the Philippines. They say it's probably Spanish ancestry. But Reed does genealogical research. This family can trace their lineage back 10 generations. Every ancestor is indigenous Kalanguya. No Spanish, no European, no Chinese. Pure Cordilleran indigenous. So the geneticists say, okay, it's probably a random mutation. 1 in a million chance. Happens sometimes, but then Reed keeps finding them. Another family in Ifugao, another in Benguet, another in Apayao. All indigenous, all blue-eyed, all with genealogies proving no European admixture. And it's not just the Cordillera. Reports start coming in from Mindanao. Blue-eyed Mandaya people in Davao Oriental. Blue-eyed Bagobo in Cotabato. Blue-eyed Taboli in South Cotabato. Blue-eyed Higaonon in Bukidnon. All over the Philippines, in isolated indigenous communities that have never mixed with outsiders. Blue eyes, green eyes, grey eyes, light-colored eyes that shouldn't exist. And the academic community panics. Why? Because this breaks the evolutionary model. The model says blue eyes evolved once, in Europe, 10,000 years ago, and spread through European migration and colonization. But if isolated Filipinos have blue eyes without European DNA, that means either blue eyes evolved twice independently, or something else is going on. Something the scientific establishment didn't want to talk about. Until 2010, that's when everything changed. Archaeologists in Siberia discovered a fingerbone in Denisovan cave. Just one fingerbone. They extracted DNA from it, and what they found shocked the world. This wasn't Homo sapiens. This wasn't Neanderthal. This was a third species of human. A species science didn't know existed. They called them Denisovans. Denisovans lived in Asia from about 300,000 years ago to 50,000 years ago. We don't know exactly what they looked like because we only have a few bones. But we know they were tall, probably 6 to 7 feet on average. We know they were strong. Bone structure suggests massive muscle mass. And we know they were smart. They made sophisticated tools, They had culture. They had language. They were human. Just not our kind of human. And here's where it gets interesting. When scientists mapped the Denisovan genome and compared it to modern humans, they found something incredible. Denisovan DNA still exists today in living people, specifically in Southeast Asians, Melanesians, Australian Aboriginals, and Pacific Islanders. These populations carry between 1% and 6% Denisovan DNA. The highest concentration, Filipinos. Filipinos carry 3% to 5% Denisovan genes, higher than almost any other population on Earth. What does this mean? It means that around 50,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa and into Asia, they met Denisovans. And they didn't just meet them, they interbred with them. Homo sapiens and Denisovans had children together. And those hybrid children survived. They thrived. They became the ancestors of modern Filipinos. Now back to the blue eyes. In 2019, Dr. Eske Willerslev from the University of Copenhagen published a groundbreaking study. His team analyzed the Denisovan genome in extreme detail, and they found something nobody expected. Denisovans had genes for light-colored eyes, specifically variants of the OCA2 and HERC2 genes that produce blue, green, and grey eye colors, the same genes Europeans have. But older, the Denisovan eye color genes date back 200,000 years. The European blue eye mutation is only 10,000 years old. Think about what this means. Blue eyes didn't originate in Europe. Blue eyes originated in Denisovans, an extinct human species that lived in Asia hundreds of thousands of years ago. When Denisovans interbred with Homo sapiens 50,000 years ago, they passed those eye color genes to their hybrid children. Those children became Filipinos, and every so often, those ancient Denisovan genes activate. A Filipino child is born with blue eyes, not from Spain, not from America, from a human species that went extinct before Europe even had blue-eyed people. Let me show you the evidence. 2021. A team from the University of the Philippines and Stanford University collected DNA samples from 118 blue-eyed Filipinos across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. They sequenced their genomes, and they found the mutation. It's in the OCA2 gene. But it's not the European variant. It's a different mutation, an older mutation. And when they compared it to the Denisovan genome, match, the blue-eyed Filipinos have the Denisovan eye color variant, not the European one, and there's more. The study found that blue-eyed Filipinos also have elevated Denisovan DNA in other areas. They have Denisovan immune system genes, Denisovan metabolism genes, Denisovan bone structure genes. They're not just carrying one Denisovan trait, they're carrying multiple Denisovan traits. They're essentially more Denisovan than other Filipinos. And this makes evolutionary sense, because these populations live in the mountains, in isolated highland regions where Denisovans probably lived. And when Homo sapiens arrived 50,000 years ago, the mixing happened more in these regions because there were more Denisovans there. But eye color isn't the only Denisovan trait Filipinos carry. Let's talk about the other genetic gifts Denisovans gave us, starting with altitude adaptation. Denisovans lived at high altitudes, their bodies adapted to low oxygen environments, and they passed those adaptations to Filipinos. Studies show that Cordilleran indigenous peoples have Denisovan genes that help them process oxygen more efficiently. The same gene variants found in Tibetans who live at 15,000 feet. Filipinos have it. Thanks to Denisovans' diving ability, the Bahau people of Mindanao are called sea nomads. They can hold their breath for 13 minutes. They dive to 200 feet without equipment. Scientists discovered they have enlarged spleens, a genetic adaptation for extended breath-holding. And guess what? That gene variant shows Denisovan markers. Denisovans may have been semi-aquatic. They may have lived near water and hunted in rivers and lakes, and they passed that diving ability to modern Filipinos. Immune system advantages. Filipinos have some of the most robust immune systems in Asia. We resist tropical diseases better than Europeans or East Asians. Why? Denisovan immune genes, specifically genes that fight viral infections and parasites. Denisovans lived in harsh environments for hundreds of thousands of years. Their immune systems evolved to be powerful, and Filipinos inherited that. Bone density. Filipino indigenous peoples, especially in the Cordillera, have unusually high bone density. Stronger skeletons, less prone to fractures. This is a Denisovan trait. Denisovans had thick bones, heavier skeletons, built for strength and durability, and Filipinos carry that genetic blueprint. Skin pigmentation variants. Some Filipinos have unusually dark skin, almost blue-black. This is also linked to Denisovan genes. Denisovans had highly variable skin tones. Some were very dark to protect against intense UV radiation. Some were lighter, and Filipinos inherited that genetic diversity. That's why Filipinos have such a wide range of skin tones. From very light to very dark. It's not just Austronesian and Negrito mixing. It's also Denisovan genetic variation. Now here's where this gets controversial. If Filipinos carry significant Denisovan DNA, are we still 100% Homo sapiens? Technically, no. We're Homo sapiens plus Denisovan. We're a hybrid species, and that's not unique to Filipinos. All non-African humans carry Neanderthal DNA, 1 to 2%. Melanesians carry even more Denisovan DNA than Filipinos, up to 6%. But Filipinos have the highest Denisovan concentration in Southeast Asia. We're one of the most Denisovan populations still alive,